Hello. Hey, this is Benjamin again. Let's do a quick video. I just having some thoughts. That's all. Um, I saw this video going around the internet. Maybe you've seen it too. There's a lot of stores that are closing up shop in certain cities because of crime and violence. Excuse me, shoplifting and such. And this video that was going around, it was like that Apple phone store, something like that. The young man is in there just cleaning out $1,000s worth of product, and somebody's filming it. But this guy's like, he's not in a hurry, he's not rushed, he's not afraid. He knows there's going to be no recourse for his actions. And he walks out of the store, just saunters out right past a police car, and walks away with all his merchandise. And I think that's interesting because, like in my line of work, I can't go into any detail really at all, but I oftentimes have to go physically hands-on with people. And we've had some really great conversations as a staff recently, primarily with my main partner and I, as well as supervisors. When it's okay to do so. And I think it's a good thing that any kind of line of work that might have to have use of force in it are taking some good measures to make sure that they are adequately, as best you can, especially sometimes in the heat of a moment, adequately addressing the problems, addressing the issues. So, for instance, people that come in and loot these stores, and and nobody stops them. I think as a I can't speak for law enforcement, of course, because they have a job to do. But for civilians, just people aren't stopping these people from stealing, though maybe they should be. But it's just stuff. It's just stuff. And we've all kind of realized, if you're paying attention anyway, that people are willing to do things. Nobody's stopping anybody from doing bad things. No one's stopping the bad guys. The point I'm trying to make is men aren't standing up to this type of behavior anymore because people have made, what's a good way to put this? I heard a gentleman talk about this, and I forget the term that he uses. Anyway, you can't stop people from doing evil anymore because you don't know what they're capable of, and you don't know what they want to do, and you don't know the means that they want to use to get you to stop them. Some people, they want you to try to stop them because they know if you try to confront them, and then let's say there's an altercation that takes place, and then they can try to sue you for hurting them. And you'll probably lose in court. The good guy will probably lose. So there's a difference between, like, okay, somebody comes into a store and they are just taking things. Nobody wants to stop. Corporate can afford that stuff, right? They have insurance for that stuff. You don't need to intervene for any of that stuff. Someone goes into a grocery store and they're stealing food, something like that. That's similar. It's like they're just stealing stuff. But these corporate businesses, they have insurance. There's no reason to stop people from doing anything. And I watched this news broadcast on this the other day where there's a difference. People that are stealing things versus hurting people. Taking belongings versus robbing people, let's say. And there was this guy on a train who was just going around assaulting people, and nobody stopped him. And these news anchors were talking about it. And it's like, this is happening time and time again. And again, the question is, where are all the men? Where are all the men that would stand up to this stuff? Well, men know better. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to try to engage and be heroic and do the right thing. It's that they'll get in trouble if they do, right? And so it's like, where did all the men go? Well, this was all voted for. This is all, not to get political because I really don't give a shit, but this is all voted for. This policies was voted that way. And I think men are sick of it. People are sick of it, that you can't step in, that you can't do the right thing, that you can't confront evil. Because if you do, you will be treated as an evil person, right? And so, like, where did all the men go? Well, this is on purpose. This is on purpose, right? So, back to these theft rings and stuff like this. This is law enforcement's job to take care of this, right? Or supposed to be. But there's no penalty. There's no penalty, right? And so there's really nothing that can be done anyway. Someone will get arrested and they'll just be turned back loose again. There's no penalty for it. And so, this is the way people vote. And people want, I wouldn't even say leniency on criminals, though it's partly that. It's that there's no incentive to be a man anymore. There's no incentive to be a man anymore. And I've been thinking about this for many years. It's interesting that it's recently hit kind of the manosphere circles in terms of a talking point. That the shooting here in Colorado, the theater shooting, the guy walks in and just starts shooting people. Men were throwing themselves in front of bullets. And I've said this before, and if you've talked to me in person, I talk about this stuff a lot because it's fascinating. Nobody had to give these men a class. None of these men got together and said, hey, if anybody comes in today and commits mass, shooting, this is what we're going to do. We're going to jump on top of people. It's like, no. Men instinctually throw themselves in front of harm's way to protect women and children. Men have a biological imperative and a biological drive to put themselves in harm's way to protect women and children. You don't have to give them a class on it. They don't have to ever have a day of training on it. This is instinctual. Men want to protect people, particularly the less fortunate and women and children. And so when that is legislated against them, that their masculinity is brought to bear against them in the court of law, they don't stand up for other people, and they won't stand up for other people. And this is a big problem. This is a big problem. Now, in terms of theft and things like this, and all these stores closing in the cities and stuff like that, it's a problem in that grocery stores are closing. And so people that used to have a grocery store down the street no longer do. And that's what they call the food desert, right? I forget what it is. If you don't have a grocery store within 10 minutes drive from you, something like that, in a city, it's a food desert, they call it. And so that's a problem when grocery stores are closing down. But these corporate giants, they're hedging in their bets. They're closing stores in cities, whether it be retail or grocery stores or otherwise. And so, and it's partly because men are no longer willing to sacrifice on the behalf of others. Certainly not belongings like retail. Who cares? Nobody cares. But even when it comes to things like robberies, thefts of people being threatened, things like that, carjackings, nobody's stepping in anymore. Nobody's stepping in anymore because that drive is being curbed in them because there's laws against it now. And if you hurt that person while you're trying to stop a crime or a threat on someone's life, the good guy goes to jail. And we've made it this way. We've made it this way. We have no one else to blame but ourselves. So, anyway, just a thought. What are your thoughts when you criminalize men for doing what men want to do, desire to do, is to stop evil? You've hemmed yourself in as a country and as a culture and as a people. And we have no one else to blame but ourselves. Let men do what men desire to do, is to help the less fortunate, women and children, and protect people. And let them do their job, their God-given job. What do you think?